Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and good Shabbos. It is a kind of sweltering day here in Huntington, although it got a little bit cooler after the rain this afternoon. A lot of thunder and some lightning. 2 dogs slept through it, and 2 dogs were pacing all over the place. So a mixed bag. And the cats, well, the cats were where the cats usually hide, so they were quiet. But it did cool down, so hopefully it'll continue that way. And doesn't matter if it's cool, doesn't matter if it's hot, it is Shabbat. And we are in the first Shabbat of the month of Elul, the month preceding the high holidays. And we're about the first week in, so we've got about 3 weeks until Rosh Hashanah, and then another 10 days until Yom Kippur, and then Sukkot. And it's going to be a long September. But you know what? It's a great September. The high holidays are a great time. But we have to get through Shabbat before we can even get close to the high holidays. So let's welcome Shabbat this evening, and we'll begin with benching licht, lighting the Shabbat candles. Page 2 for the bracha, page 3 for the reading, and we have Suzanne who will bench licht.
Okay. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As the
brightness reminds us of the riches of the light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, let's turn to page 6. Bit of a responsive reading in English, middle of page 6. May the door of the synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May we welcome all who cares to unburden, thinks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May its spiritual wings not flood beyond restrained feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May the synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
And we'll continue welcoming Shabbat with song. Page 20, L'cha Dodi, from Shlomo Alkabates, one of the mystics of Tzfat, welcoming either the Shabbos bride or the Shabbos queen, depending on which strain of mysticism you follow. Here it's the Kala, here it's the bride, but it's also the Malka, the queen of Shabbat. And so top of page 20, verses 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and 9. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad. Yishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, u'shmo echad, l'shem ultiferet v'li tchila, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela, likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki mekor habracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela, mikdash melech yemelucha, kumitzei mitoch afecha, rav lahak shevet בימיך בך, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי, על יד בן ישי בית לחמי, קורבה אל נפשי גאלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי, על יד איש בן פרצי, בני שמחה ונגילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובסהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Page 22, verses from Psalm 92, also known as the Psalm for Shabbat. And so let's read at the English, and then we'll continue with Sadiq Katamar. A song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai, how very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. Tzaddik tamar yifrach, ke'erez balvanon yiskeh shetulim beveit Adonai. Bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu, o jenuvun beseva, deshenim vera'ananim yihiyu lehagi. Ki ashar Adonai tzuri velo avlatabo. Page 24 at the top. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashare, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Boachem leshalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Barchuni leshalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Seitchem leshalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Hey, friends, we have completed Kabbalat Shabbat. We have welcomed Shabbat into our midst, and we'll continue with our Vit LeShabbat, the evening service for Shabbat, page 145. Yitkadahal ve'yitkada shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach Yeruteh, v'yamlik malchuteh, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon, Ufchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Bahagala, Uvizman Kahariv, V'yemeru, Amen. Yeshmei Rabba Mevorach, Leolam Lo Me'amaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitvar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'richu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata daham v'hiram v'yamha v'yimeru. Amen. Page 146, Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Page 147, bottom in English. Let's read responsively. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. Top of 148. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Ukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu B'shochmeinu uvkumeinu Nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, li'olam va'ed. Ki heim chayenu v'yorech yameinu, v'yorech yameinu. Uvahem nehege yomam v'layla, yomam v'layla. V'ahavatecha atas yamim eliolamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael. Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha, u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol me'odecha, v'hayu advarim ha'eleh. Asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alavavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlektecha v'derech uv'shoktecha uv'kumecha ukshartam le'ahot al yadecha V'hayula totafahot beineinecha, uchtavtaham al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. Leman tizkeru v'asitehem et kol mitzvotai, Vitem kedoshim leloechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 151. Let's read responsively in the middle. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
Yet that oneness salutes our grasps and perfection and evil.
Before our eyes, there is a vision, perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to insult the soul.
When will redemption come?
We grant everyone what we claim for ourselves.
Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate His power that makes for freedom.
Page 152 at the top. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nohora tehilot, v'hosef eleh. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokeam lifnei Moshe, zeili anu v'amru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, v'nehemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, u'ga'alon bi'achazak mimenu, baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Page 153, Hashkivenu, the top two lines in Hebrew, followed by the English together. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over your shelter of peace over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 154 of Vishamru, verses from the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus. It's not Shabbat without Vishamru. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti li'olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash. Shabbat vayinafash. Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat. La'asot et ha-Shabbat Ledorotam berit olam. We've reached the centerpiece of the evening Shabbat service, the Amidah, and we'll begin on 155 together, and then we'll chant 156 and 157 together, and then silently through the end on 167. And you can chant along with us in the Hebrew, follow along in the English, or offer up your own personal prayer at this time. But we'll begin together on 155. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevi Goel Ifnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach Umagi, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Abraham, Yisrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye Metim Atah V'Hoshiach, Morid Atah, Mechalkei Chaim B'Chesed, Mechaye Metim Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekahaye Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Gevurot, Umidol Melach, Melech Melech Umechayeh, Umasmiach Yeshua, V'leman Atalach Hayom Meitim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaMeitim. Still completing your Amidah, please continue at your own pace. We're on page 160. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 163, a little bit of hoda'ah, a little bit of gratitude. This week, I don't know if I should be grateful for this, but the little dog, the newest dog, found his voice. And so now we have two hounds who like to share their voices with us. But Albert, as he is known, is navigating the house, at least the bottom floor, fairly well, and only bumping into things occasionally, and usually with great aplomb, right? I can hear him whacking himself as he runs into a wall because he gets so excited. And he just shakes himself off and then goes chasing after the dogs. So, I mean, it's a learning experience for us all, but Albert is doing well. And that's just one little thing for which I'm grateful this week in this Shabbat. So lots of other things, and I'm sure that you all have things that you're grateful for too. So keep those in your thoughts and close to your heart. And we'll be on page 163, reading responsively. For the good in us, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks.
For the strength to improve the world of our hearts and hands, we offer praise.
For the desire in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for food and tomorrow, all praise for the source of being.
And we'll conclude the Amidah, as usual, with a prayer for peace. Shalom Rav, top of 164. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim leolam. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim leolam. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim leolam. Etov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol heit ubechol sha'a bishlomecha. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim leolam. Shalom Rahav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Praise to you, Adonai, who blesses your people, Israel, with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevorech et Amo Yisrael, b'shalom. I'm going to skip ahead to page 253, the Misha Berach, a prayer for asking God's healing power. And if you know anyone who needs a little bit of extra healing this Shabbat, whether it's emotional, spiritual, or physical, keep them close to your thoughts and keep them in your thoughts and close to your hearts as we continue middle page 253. Misheberach Avoteinu Mikor HaBracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheperach imotenu mekor habracha liahavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Pages 258 and 259, we'll read prayers for our community together, our congregation, for our country, for Yerushalayim, and for Medinat Yisrael. Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us: love, Torah, devotion and prayer, in support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levacha b'yirat na'avod. Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke. Share your bread with the hungry, and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing, and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness. Sha'alu shalom Yerushalayim, Yishlayu ohavayich. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Avinu Shabbat Shalom, Tzur Yisrael v'goalo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Smicha Gulatenu. Hagein Aleha Bi'evrat Chasdecha, Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Orcha V'amitcha L'Roshaha, Sareha V'yoetzeha, V'takneim V'etza Tova Milfanecha, V'natata Shalom Ba'aretz, V'simchat Olam Liyoshveha, V'nomar Amen. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. All right, friends. We are working our way through the book of Devarim, renegade book of the Torah in a way. A lot of summary going on in this particular book. An encapsulation, if you will, of Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers, kind of all condensed into one. Perhaps the first Reader's Digest condensed book, right? Takes 3 books and puts it into one. So Moshe continues his final addresses to the people, and he tells them to appoint judges, and these judges are to be impartial, and they're to be beyond reproach. They're not to be anyone who would take a bribe. And Moshe enjoins a very, very famous line upon us this week: Tzedek, tzedek tirdof, justice, justice you shall pursue. And we talk a little bit about the death penalty in Devarim, and you need 2 witnesses. If you have 1 witness, it's not enough. You have to have at least 2 witnesses. And if there are false witnesses, right? So coming right out of the death penalty comes a discussion about false witnesses, and they get punished. for lying. And there are some who suggest that it's the same punishment that they tried to have inflicted on someone else. So, false witnesses, they don't just get to walk scot-free. They don't get to make up a story and leave. And in cases of homicide, civil law, and things that are too complex for the judge or the 2 or 3 judges that are appointed, they get sent up to a higher court. Right? And the highest court that we had in Israel was called the Sanhedrin, and it had 75 members. And the reason it was an odd number, so there would never be a tie. Right? There'd always be, it has to, I guess, can you get an odd number? No, you can't get an odd number from 2 even numbers, but you couldn't have a tie. And then there was a smaller Sanhedrin, and then there was what was called the Beit Din, which was 3 rabbis or 3 justices, 3 judges. The book of Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy, spends a lot of time talking about not becoming idol worshipers. And more so than earlier books of the Torah, this is apparently the way I read and understand the book of Devarim. It was written much later. It was written after the land was settled, and we had come into contact with all the people that we were supposed to wipe out. And so some of their idol worshiping habits might start to rub off on us. So the book of Devarim spends a lot of time reminding us that we are not to set up places to worship idols. We're not to offer defective sacrifices, meaning we're supposed to offer only the best, and so we don't give the second best. And we're not allowed to worship the moon or the sun. And apparently there were people who did that, and so we're forbidden to do that. Upon entering the land, people may want to choose the monarchy as a government. All right, this is, there are a couple of wonderful scenes throughout the rest of the Bible where God chastises Israel for wanting to have an earthly king. Right? Israel says, we want a king. And God says, but I'm your king. They say, no, we want a real king. And God says, but I am a real king. And they say, no, we want a human king. And God says, are you sure? Because they're going to be corrupt. There are going to be some good ones. There are going to be some bad ones. And you're going to wind up getting punished. And they're like, but all the other kids have a king. Why can't we have a king? And so we got a king, and we had some real Lulus for kings. We had some really good kings. We had King David, we had King Solomon, we had Josiah, and we had some real losers. But the rules for the king may not be a foreigner, cannot be somebody who is not a natural born. In this case, it was an Israelite. Can't be a foreigner. He's not allowed to keep many horses. Right? Because apparently kings kept horses, and that was quite a drain on the economy in some kingdoms. And you can't send to Egypt for new horses, right? Because we're still a little bit, we're still not quite friends with the Egyptians yet. He's not to have too many wives, although Solomon kind of puts that on its ear. And he's not to amass silver and gold to excess. And so that makes sense, right? You don't want your king worrying only about money. Moses then reminds the children of Israel that the Levites will have no land. And so they need to be taken care of through the sacrifices and the offerings that we bring. That's where they get their compensation. There are a number of forbidden religious practices listed. We're not allowed to offer our children to the fire. We are not allowed to follow soothsayers, diviners, sorcerers, casters of spells, or those who claim to consult with spirits, ghosts, and the dead. Right? We're supposed to stay away from those, especially the ones that want to contact the spirit world. Judaism is a religion of life. And if we waste our time trying to talk to spirits and to the dead, we're not just wasting time, we're wasting our lives. And so Judaism says, don't worry about ghosts or spirits. Moshe warns us to be careful of false prophets, and reminds us again to build sanctuary cities where the manslayer can go to prove his innocence and live without fear of retribution. It teaches the priests to encourage the people going to war, to remind them that God is with you, and lays out some rules for who has to go to war. Right? So if you are a person who just planted a vineyard but did not harvest it, you don't have to go to war until after you harvest it. If you built a home but have not yet dedicated it, you don't have to go to war if war is breaking out. If you're engaged but not yet married, meaning you haven't consummated your marriage, you don't have to go to war. And the last one is one of the most interesting. If you are afraid or anxious, better you should stay home rather than go to war. Moshe tells them, when you are going to siege a city, you offer peace first, let them surrender. And if they don't, you can wage war, and don't destroy the fruit-bearing trees. We are not allowed to destroy the trees. And the Bible, or the Torah, puts it in an interesting way. The Torah says, are they human beings with legs that they can run away? In a way that, the trees and somehow are sentient and would be hurt, but can't get out of the way. But non-fruit trees you can use to build your siege mounds. And then the Torah portion winds up with this very interesting case where a dead body is found outside the city, and they don't know who committed the murder. And there's no suspect. It's just a dead body in a field. And they measure to the closest city where the body is found. And they bring the leaders of the city out, and they sacrifice a heifer. And they swear that they didn't do it, and that they didn't see it done, and that they should be absolved, that the sacrifice will absolve them of their guilt. And then they are required to give the body a proper funeral, a proper burial. And that, friends, is this week's Torah portion in a nutshell. Shoftim. It's a lot going on. So we are in the month of Elul, as I mentioned at the beginning of services, the last month before Rosh Hashanah, actually the sixth month of the year, if you're counting from Nisan, which is the first month, number 6. And this past week, I hope you celebrated the new year that came by. We had one of the 4 Rosh Hashanah this week. And the first of Elul is the new year for tithing of animals. So any animal born before the first of Elul is accredited to the previous year. And after one Elul, it is the new year. So technically, every animal has a birthday around the first of Elul, right? So we say that's the tithing of animals. The name Elul is an interesting name. It comes from the Aramaic Elal, which means to circle back, to come back around. And it's known as the Chodesh HaCheshbon. It's the month of our soul's reckoning, where we spend this month doing a lot of the heavy lifting, at least spiritually, for the high holidays. It's the end, as it were, of the fiscal year for your spirit. Right, where you get all your receipts and you look them over and you start getting ready for the high holidays. It's time for an accounting of your soul. And the rabbis call that a cheshbon hanefesh. And a cheshbon literally means a receipt. Right? If you go to Israel and you want the cheshbon for your meal, you ask the waiter, cheshbon b'vakasha. Right? Can I have my accounting, my receipt? And we do that with our soul. And the entire month of Elul is supposed to be that time where we do this accounting. We look back at the past year, right? We circle back. We take a look at the patterns and the habits that we might have fallen into this past year. And I know this past year with COVID was intense and frightening. And we might not have fallen into bad patterns around other people, but we might have fallen into bad patterns by ourselves, right? I'm not going to say, not getting out of your pajamas all week is a bad pattern, but I know people who did exactly that. They stayed in their pajamas, or they But those kinds of things, you don't worry about staying in your pajamas. We want to look back and look at ourselves and where we've been the last year. How have we done? Right? Did we work on the things that we set out for on our to-do list last Rosh Hashanah, last high holidays? Or did we kind of forget them like regular, like January 1st resolutions? Right? We're going to go to the gym. We're going to eat better. We're going to walk 4 miles a day. And then we do it on January 2nd, and we realize how tired that makes us. So we kind of say, well, we'll get to it another time. Right? What did we do well this year? What did we do well? What did we do less well? Right? What can we work on? Elul is an intense time for people who are trying to get into the spirit of the high holidays. It's that time where we spend this month looking at what we've done so that when the high holidays come around, we're ready for them. We're not trying to prepare 5 minutes before Rosh Hashanah. We're not trying, to repair relationships 2 minutes before Yom Kippur. This is what the month of Elul is for, to look back on what we've done so we can look forward to see how we can improve. If you take the month of Elul seriously, the high holidays become much less stressful. Now you can just focus on the beauty and the pageantry and the imagery of the high holidays rather than, I really should call my mom and apologize, or I should really mend fences with my sister, or, Aunt Sadie still doesn't talk to me for this reason, and maybe I should. Right? We shouldn't be thinking about those during the high holidays. We should be taking care of that now. So we have 3 weeks left to do that kind of stuff. So what should we do with the time that we have? Do a cheshbon hanefesh. Take an accounting of your soul. See where you are. See how you feel. Read Psalm 27, which we're going to do this evening, at least those of us who are here. Psalm 27 is an amazing psalm. It's one of my absolute favorites, and it's about faith. And even when you have doubt, right? Because people say, well, if you have strong faith, you can't have doubt. Well, Elul is all about doubt. Elul leading up to the high holidays is all about doubt. How did we do? Did we do well enough? Did we work hard enough? Did we improve ourselves? And Psalm 27 talks about that doubt. And number 3, you repair relationships. Call people and talk to them. Next week, I'm going to tell you how to make an apology, and not one of these Facebook apologies where you'll see, if I have offended anybody this year, I ask your forgiveness. When friends of mine do that, I write back no, because that's not a true apology. Right? And I'll tell you why next week. And now the last thing is that you can start wishing people Shana Tova. Elul marks the official beginning of the high holiday season, and you can start wishing people Shana Tova if you want. And if you don't want to, you can wait until Rosh Hashanah. But if you hear people saying Shana Tova now, don't look at them and say, it's not yet the high holidays. The month of Elul kicks off the high holiday season. And so wish you all a Shana Tova a little bit early. May I be your first this year, and a Shabbat Shalom and a good Shabbos. Sam, what time is it?
Kiddush.
It is time for Kiddush. Yes, it is. And we are going to make Kiddush. So if you're making Kiddush, please stand, please rise. Vayhi Erev, Vayhi Boker, Yom HaShishi, Vayachulu HaShamayim v'ha'aretz, v'chol tzivam, Vayachal Elohim v'yom HaShvi'i, Melachto asher asa, Vayishbot v'yom HaShvi'i, Mikol Melachto asher asa, Vayavarech Elohim et yom HaShvi'i, Vayikadesh oto, Kivo Shavat, Mikol Melachto, Asher bara Elohim la'asot. Sabri, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit. Ki hu yom techila lamikrae kodesh, zecher letziyat mitzrayim. Givanu v'charta, v'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim. V'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh Shabbat. Page 282, Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'teit gedula li'otzer reshit, shelo asanu kedoye haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishlachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim v'yoser haaretz u'moshiach yikaro b'shamayim imahol ushlinatuzo v'govhei meromim u'Eloheinu Eino emet malkeinu efes ulato kakahatu v'torato v'yadata hayom v'hashivota elevavecha Ki Adonai hu Elohim, v'shamayim imahol, v'al haaretz, mitachat eino. Kakatu b'toratecha, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'nehemar, v'haya Adonai, lamelech al kol ha'aretz, v'yom hahu, v'yom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, U'shemo echad. As it is the beginning of the month of Elul, we start to include, as I said before, my favorite psalm of the book of Psalms, Psalm 27. And those who are here tonight have the full version and a translation. And so we are going to read responsibly the translation. Psalm of David. Adonai is my light and my help. Whom shall I fear? Adonai is the strength of my life. Whom shall I dread?
When evildoers draw near to slander me, when foes threaten, they stumble and fall. Though armies be arrayed against me, I have no fear. Though wars threaten, I remain steadfast in my faith.
One thing I ask of Adonai, for this I yearn, to dwell in the house of Adonai all the days of my life, to behold God's beauty, to pray in God's sanctuary.
Hide me in his shrine, save from the peril. God will shelter me beyond the reach of disaster, and raise my head high above mine enemies.
I will bring God offerings with shouts of joy, singing, chanting praise to Adonai.
Adonai, hear my voice when I call. Be gracious to me and answer. It is you whom I seek, set my heart. It is your presence that I seek, Adonai.
Do not hide from me. Do not reject your servant. You have always been my help. Do not abandon me. Forsake me not, my God of deliverance.
Though my father and my mother leave me, Adonai will care for me.
Teach me your way, Adonai. Guide me on the right path to confound my oppressors.
Do not abandon me to the will of my foes, for false witnesses have risen against me, purveyors of malice and lies.
Yet I have faith that I shall surely see Adonai's goodness in the land of the living. Hope in Adonai. Be strong, take courage, and hope in Adonai. Lulei hamanti lerot b'tuv Adonai be'eretz chayim. Kaveh el Adonai. Chazak v'yametz libecha. V'kaveh el Adonai. This week, we continue to observe the Shloshim for Shai Selek and begin the Shloshim for Randy Miller. This week, we observed the following yahrzeits: Joseph R. Hamill, Dennis's father; Fran Leslie Jurin, Nathan Jurin's aunt, great-granddaughter of Nathan and B. Jurin of Charleston; Alan Mallinger, father of Marilyn Poland's son-in-law, Rabbi Lawrence Mallinger; Samuel Pastor, Ethel Levine's brother-in-law; Isabel Spindell, Donna's mother; Mary K. Miller, Charlotte's mother; Betty Ann Miller, Mark and Matt Miller's mother, Dutch's wife; Mickey Goldenberg, wife of Abe, mother of Janice; Aaron Herbert, Hal's father, Alice's father-in-law; Jenny Cohen, David Glick's maternal grandmother; Isaac Hemmelstein, Dennis Hamill's grandfather; Nancy Herman Blanchard, wife of Tom, daughter of Bernice and Jack Herman; David Shrinsky, Sherry Solachek's father; Norma Ruth Webster, Judy Lundy's friend; Adolf Bro, patriarch of the Bro family, husband of Jetta and father of 10; Abraham Freeman, Sophie Brodoff's brother, Mark's uncle; Patricia Hyman, wife of Jack, mother of Derek, Faith, Rebecca, Joshua, and David; Sam Ratowski, Harold Radell's father, Judy Woodruff's grandfather; Julia Sampson Ziffer, wife of Leo Ziffer, mother of Alan and Fred; Jack Gellin, Ed's father; Jenny Goldenberg, Dennis Hamill's grandmother; Mike Rhodes Miller, Mark and Matt's brother; Samuel Sampson Sr., Julia Ziffer's brother. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May their memories be a blessing to us all. May they all rest in peace. Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei rabbah v'yalma divrach hiruteh v'yamlik malchuteh v'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah v'varach l'olam l'mei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shmei t'kusha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiram v'yalma v'yimru amen. Yehi shloma rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. All right, friends, before we close out with Adon Olam, we'll have a couple of quick announcements. Services tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. and then Sunday at 9 a.m. Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock is our last, let my people know, Taste of Talmud class, and it's the last one for the summer. So please tune in. It's a real humdinger of the rabbis coming up with an impossible case, and so and some pretty interesting imagery as well. So that's Sunday at 3. Monday evening at 6:30. It's 6:30. I get my times mixed up. 6:30. It's the deep dive into Genesis, and we are in chapter 2 and learning a lot there. Tuesday, anything? Tuesday. No. All right. Wednesday is the Yiddish choir. Thursday is
Religious meeting.
Religious music. A ritual committee and ritual and music committee. And if you are, that's it. I mean, and then we're back on Friday night for Shabbat services.
COVID committee meeting at 6 o'clock Wednesday evening.
I knew there was something.
COVID committee meeting Wednesday, 6 o'clock. If you're not a member of the COVID committee, don't worry, you don't have a meeting. But if you are, there's a meeting, and then we'll be back on Friday. So I usually say go out and enjoy the weather. It's probably getting dark. It's probably a little cloudy, but enjoy your Shabbat. Enjoy your Shabbat. Let's close out on 321, Adon Olam. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nihra Li'et Nasa B'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'acharei Kiklot HaKol Levado Yimloch Torah Vehu Haya Vehu Hoveh Vehu Yeh B'tifara Vehu Echad V'ein Sheni Lahamshilo La'achira V'li Reshith V'li Tachlit V'lo Ha'oz Ne'hamisra Vehu Eli V'chai Go'alim V'tzor Hevli V'yetzara Vehu nisi umanosli menat kosi biyom ekra yahado avkid ruchi be'eti sham ve'ayira ve'im ruchi keviyati Adonai li ve'lo yira. Let's see who says hello to us this week. Jenny Bro, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Sweltering here as well. Well, sorry. A little rain would be a blessing for the grass. Yes, it would, and it would be a blessing for us all. Oh, there's Mom. I always get surprised when I see Kathleen Judd instead of Mom. Shabbat Shalom to all from Rabbi's Mom and Cliff. Keep cool and stay safe. Thank you. Beth Lauren, all the way from Brooklyn, wishing Beth and her mom, sending Beth and her mom condolences on the passing of Beth's uncle and her mother Libby's brother. So may his memory be for a blessing. And we have ML and Herman Glazer. Shabbat Shalom, right back at the two of you. And everyone, Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos, and be careful out there. We'll see you soon.
Shabbos.